All right, number one is receiving the request. Now, obviously, before you can vet any deal, you've got to actually have deals coming in, right? And so what I use to receive requests is dealsync.io. Dealsync.io. Now that's what I use to receive my requests because it is a very simple automated CRM that already has all of my lending automations and systems built in so that the request can be submitted via form. I can get all the information I need and I can move forward with the process seamlessly. So if you don't already know how to get requests coming in, right, to receive a request to vet a deal, then you can click this video up here to look at how to actually generate leads. Go watch that and then come back. Once you have leads coming in, that's when we're gonna get to number two, which is confirm details. What does confirming the details look like? Well, when you have a deal coming in, right? Let's say somebody tells you the address is 123 Main Street and they need $5,000 for this deal. Well, to vet the deal, you first need to make sure that the information they're giving you is accurate, right? If the information is not accurate, you can put whatever the heck you want onto a form. It's just an online form. Ooh, not hard to put in whatever the heck you want. You have to make sure it's accurate. So basically, this is the most important step of our 7-step process of vetting your deals, right? Because if the information is inaccurate, then you cannot move forward. You can't possibly do anything else, right? So the question then is asked, how do you confirm the details? Well, in real estate, it's really, really simple, right? Because there's theory, right? Emails, submitting forms, conversation, whatever, and then there's fact. Where do you find the fact? On the contract, right? The contract is gonna have the actual signed, valid, legal information. And so whatever's on the contract is law. So when we're receiving this deal, right? DealSync sends us the information for the deal that comes in. That's step one. And then we're confirming the details of the deal. What I'm doing is I'm taking that form that was submitted with a contract, and if there's no contract, then I'm not moving forward, right? The deal is automatically getting rejected. But if there's a contract, I'm now verifying the information. There is so many places that you can go wrong in this step because the information that's sent in matching the contract is really the only thing that matters. So what are you verifying, right? What details are you confirming? Well, there's a lot of things to confirm, but simply put, you want to confirm that what they're asking for matches with what they actually need. What this means is that if they sent in a submission for earnest money and they say I need $5,000, then you check the contract and confirm that it says that the earnest money is $5,000. If they tell you that the deal is refundable earnest money, meaning that you can get it back, right? Then you go look at the contract and confirm that it does in fact state that this is refundable, right? If they say that the address is for 123 Main Street, you go on that contract and you make sure that that address line at the top that was signed says that 123 Main Street is the address of the purchase, right? You can go back and forth with all of this different information to confirm that it's actually accurate. And if you do this step properly, then it's going to set you up for success with all the rest of the things that we're about to talk about, because if the information is not accurate, you cannot move forward. So simply put, the beginning of vetting your deal for step 2 is just making sure that the information they've asked for is accurate. Now, you might be asking, well, why would they ever input inaccurate information? Well, sometimes people are trying to scam you. Sometimes people are trying to stretch the truth a little bit. And sometimes, this is a rough one, people are just dumb, right? It happens. Oftentimes it happens, where they don't know what they're actually doing. Now, I usually shoulder the blame for that, right? If somebody submits a deal for earnest money and it's not actually earnest money they're asking for, I blame myself for not explaining myself better. But that's besides the point, because we're talking about vetting the deal. And in vetting the deal, the final crucial thing that you're confirming is that if somebody asks you to submit earnest money is what they actually need, right? So to give you an example, if somebody says that they need $100,000 in earnest money and they give you a contract, and on the contract, you find that the earnest money is only $100, the purchase price is $100,000, then what may be happening is they clicked submit earnest money, but they actually are trying to get you to buy the house for them, right? They're trying to get you to be their lender, not their transactional lender. Two very different things. Same thing with double closing, right? They say that they need you to fund a double closing, but there's only one contract. Well, then that's not a double closing, right? So vetting and confirming those details is what's going to allow you to move forward with confidence, knowing that you guys are on the same page, right? That you're not talking about two different things. If you start off on the wrong foot, if you start off not on the same page, then you're going to be screwed for the rest of the time because you don't know what the heck is going on. So number 2 is confirming those details. Now, number 3 is checking against your criteria. So you don't know whether or not it's going to match your criteria until you've actually confirmed the details. But once you've confirmed the details, then you have to ask the question, are you and or your partners willing to lend on a deal like this. And part of vetting a deal is determining, hey, do I want to lend $100,000 for earnest money? Do I want to do $1 million double close? Or you can flip it. Do I want to do a $500 earnest money? Is it worth my time, right? You're not going to be able to move forward. You're not going to want to move forward with any conversations or spending any more time if it's not something that fits into the box that you're willing to work on. Now, how much you determine what you're willing to work on? Well, first of all, you can partner up with somebody, and then guess who gets to determine it? Them, right? So if you work with me, you don't get to decide what I'm willing to lend on because it's my money, right? I tell you what our lending box is, and then we can vet the deal based off of my criteria. If you are doing it, then it just depends on what you want. What's the return that you expect? How much money are you willing to lend? What's your risk tolerance? What type of deals are you willing to lend on? All of those things are going to play a factor in determining whether or not this deal gets lent on. But at the end of the day, it all just comes down to the criteria that you have predetermined. Now, if you're somebody who doesn't know the answer to that question, you cannot do the rest, right? So you can stop, go figure out what your lending criteria is, or finish this video, go figure it out, right? And then you'll know when these situations actually arise what you're willing to do. So that's number 3. Now, number 4. We've had the deal come in, right? We've confirmed that the details for the deal are accurate. We've confirmed that it's something we're willing to lend on. Now, number 4 in vetting the deal is contracts. Why? Because words mean nothing. Contracts are the only thing that matters. And if you are vetting a deal properly, you are going to get signed contracts breaking down not just what happens when it goes well, but of course, more importantly, really what contracts are for, what happens if things don't go well, right? So you can vet a deal not only by somebody's willingness to sign the contracts, but by their ability to articulate the situation, to get the contract signed in a timely manner, to be willing to, for example, send in an upfront deposit that they might be signing on this contract, right? So all of my deals for earnest money, I require an upfront deposit to pay for our time, energy, and effort, especially if a deal doesn't go through. And so if somebody is going to sign the contracts and they're not willing to do that, then guess what? They have not passed my vetting test for lending on a deal because they are not even willing to put up any of their own money. Meanwhile, I'm risking all of my money, right? That is incredibly important to understand. So number 4 is getting those contracts signed, making sure that everybody's on the same page and ready to go. Number 5, and another absolutely crucial step to vetting your deals, is speaking with the title company. Title companies are the only ones that matter on your transaction because they determine whether or not they are willing to abide by your contracts, whether or not they're willing to abide by the agreements that you have, whether or not they're willing to accept you as an official part of the parties involved in a transaction. And so once you have gone through steps 1 through 4, your 5th step is connecting with the title company and determining whether or not they are willing to work with you. Now, you're going to want to ask them some questions, right? Have they read your contracts? Are they willing to abide by your contracts? Some of you may have the contracts that we use inside of FundWise where the title company actually has to sign off saying that they will abide by the contract so that it's not verbal, it's not written, it's actually signed in a contract that they're willing to abide by those things. But again, each one of these steps is in chronological order for a reason, right? In sequential order, because you can't move on to this without this. You can't move on to this without this. You have to follow these exact steps in order to do this correctly. Now, can you skip the contracts if you want to? Sure, if you're an idiot, right? Can you skip the criteria? Can you skip confirming the details? Sure, but that's not going to get you a successful deal, and it's certainly not going to help you grow an actual business. So the 5th part of vetting is making sure that the title company is willing to abide by all of the terms and conditions that you have already agreed on. They are going to work with you, they know who you are, and they want to see this transaction be a success in the long run. Okay, number 6 is confirming wire info. Now, number 6 is a big step because when you're confirming wire information, you're really doing a couple things. First of all, you're confirming the wire information, sure, but you're also confirming and vetting the title company. And a huge part of vetting a transaction is vetting the title company. So up here, you're confirming the transactions details, right? Then you're confirming the contract, then you're confirming the actual systems and processes. But when you confirm the wire information, you're right there, right? You're right at the point where this deal is going to go through and you're going to send $5, $10, $50, $100,000 somewhere. So step 1, confirming the actual wire information is very basic. When you send a wire, what you're doing is you're putting in 2 numbers, what's called a routing number, which is a number that is specific to each individual bank. So if you work with Chase Bank, their routing number is the same. No matter which account it's going to, the routing number is going to be the same. So it's like a dual tiered system. The first thing is your routing number. That's going to determine what bank it goes to. Then that bank has 1 million accounts, right? So how do you determine which part of the bank that money goes to? That's done with an account number. The account number is going to signal the exact account. So for those of you watching that may have a business or a checking account, personal account, whatever it may be, every single one of those has an account number associated. And if you put in the routing number for Chase Bank, and then your account number for your specific account at Chase, then that wire will go into that account. So that's the first step of confirming wire instructions, is making sure that those numbers match up. But the more important step for step 6 in vetting a deal is making sure that the title company is legitimate. Now, if you have not already watched it, you can go up here, wherever it is, to my video on how to vet title companies. It is incredibly important to make sure that you understand how to do that, because guess what? If you confirm these numbers and then you wire the money to a fraudulent person, a fake title company, a scammer, you factually will not ever get that money back. That money is gone. Wire transfers are final. This is not a credit card. The money has left your account. And so if you cannot vet a title company properly, don't get into this business, because wow, the risk is way too high, right? So that's number 6. So we've received the deal. We've confirmed the details. We've determined it's something we're willing to lend on. We've signed, making it official. We've asked the title company to confirm that they are willing to abide by those signatures. And now we've confirmed the information for actually wiring the deal. Final step in the process is funding the deal. So that's your 7 steps to vetting a successful earnest money deal, double closing, Morby method, any transactional deal that you're doing. You follow these same steps, right? Because that is the process that you need to follow in order to make sure that everything is accurate. Now again, some of these things are going to vary person to person. They're going to vary by the deal on the level of thoroughness with which you use to go through this process. But at the end of the day, when you have a deal come in, first and foremost, you got to know that whatever it is you're looking at is accurate, right? You would not believe the amount of times where I have somebody request a double closing and it's not. They request earnest money and it's not. And so that's on you to vet a deal, right? You have to understand whether or not what they're talking about is accurate. So many people struggle with vetting deals. So I hope that this has started to help you understand the process, because once you're confirming these details and you're figuring out things like, is this money refundable, right? Is this safe? You can only do so much on step 2, which is where I think a lot of people get held up, is they feel like they have to be 100% confident. You don't. Step 2 is kind of like it's not quite a formality, I shouldn't say that, but it's not the end all be all. Why? Because you determining that the deal details are accurate is not what's going to finalize this transaction. What's going to finalize it is confirming the title company's willingness to work with you, their willingness to abide by your contracts, and their willingness to make agreements based on everything you've just talked about. So don't worry if you mess this stuff up a little bit, right? If you mess up step 2, it's okay. Keep going, keep going. Get down here, and then if you're not confident in your conversation with title, or they have pushback, they give you objections or whatever it may be, this is where you absolutely would want to bring in a partner that knows what the heck they're doing, because we're talking about money here, right? This is not a game. You have to make sure that you are taking the necessary precautions to protect your money, because you can build up your business as much as you want, but if you have one transaction go bad, it's highly likely that it will sour your business forever. So if you're somebody that wants to vet a transactional deal, here is your 7-step process. I hope that this helps you get started. If you want to learn more about transactional lending, I've got a 4-hour masterclass for completely free, breaking down my process from here to here and everything that follows from actually closing the deal, making money, and then continuing to scale your business on from there. It's absolutely free. It's the first link in the description. Click that link. Go watch the 4-hour masterclass, learn what the heck is going on, and then let me know what else I can do to be helpful to you. I hope that this video has been really helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.